Moment going on?
Doing good, sir. How about you?
I'm fine. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Hey, before we get started, I have a question that happened in our game. I want to ask all the White Hats what they have done. Can I go ahead and get that before everybody gets on for the next couple of minutes?
Yeah, go ahead. It looks like we got a couple White Hats on right now. So, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so Friday night game, y'all can look on there, see who we had. At halftime, they put 24 minutes on the clock. So we come out 5 till, the whole 9 yards, getting ready. The home team's ready to go. The visiting team is still in the locker room. So I went to the visiting team locker room and said, we got to go, guys. It's the 24th. We're at 1 minute left. Nobody from the visiting came out. I got with the assistants. The assistant said, okay. They came out 9 minutes after the time I told them or asked them to come back. So now the home team and the administrator came to me and says, hey, that's a delayed game. Our district minutes says 24 with the option of the 28. I don't know that. But they came out late, and I got with Hill. I guess I can let y'all know. Hill from Smith Valley. I explained the situation. He goes, no, it is 28. I said, Coach, I asked y'all to come out 8 minutes ago. Y'all just barely getting here. We're ready to go. I went personally to try to get y'all to come out. I talked to your assistants. He goes, yeah, you did. But we thought it was 28 minutes. So I gave him a delay game. He didn't gripe too much about it. After the game, he says, you know what? Not a lot of White Hats would have done what you did. But you know what? I give you props for that. Is that the right thing to do or not the right thing to do? Any White Hats want to jump in and let me know what they would have done? Or Joe?
Michael, I think you did the right thing. You went above and beyond by the fact that you went to the coach and his staff and told them to get back on the field, and they chose to deny that.
Now, I appreciate that. Now, here's my next question. How do we know on the district minutes if it's 24 or 28? That's the only thing Hill was complaining about. So how do we handle that situation? Or what do we do? What can I do to prevent that from not happening next time?
Well, here's the deal. Like you said, it's 24 or 28 minutes. A couple of things that we could all do. Just ask them in your pregame. Is it halftime? Okay. 24 or 28 minutes. And if was Smith Valley at home?
No, they were on the road.
Okay, who was the home team? East Central?
East Central.
Yeah. You just ask him, is it you having a 24, 28 minute half? We had that the other night, and they said it was 27 minutes. And that was at Ferris.
Okay.
27 minutes. So that's number one. Number two, if they don't come out, like you said, at about, they're not on the field at about 28 or whatever that time frame was. Who went to go get them?
I did.
Yeah,
I did.
That's not. You should get one of your the wing guy should be doing that. Your deep wing should be going and get the teams, not you.
Okay. Okay.
That's number one. And then if they came out 9 minutes later after you went in there to get them, then you have every right to call them for delay of game. I mean, 2 minutes, 3 minutes here. If it's homecoming, those types of things, I think everybody works around those situations.
Right.
Was it homecoming?
It was homecoming, but he did put, when we started the clock, he did put 24 on the clock because they didn't have homecoming. They did the virtual homecoming before the game started.
Yeah.
Before the game.
Yeah.
Mike, this is Fernando. Here's the problem. He did put 28 at first, and then maybe that's when he saw it. Then he switched it to 24.
Right.
And didn't see that.
Okay. Anybody else? I mean, so, hey, Ron, so you're saying in the future have your wing guy on that sideline, whoever it is, at that half to go get them, basically?
Yeah, it's the same situation as your wing's going to find out which way they want to kick after the second half.
Right.
That's their responsibility, is to go get the teams.
Okay. I appreciate it.
And, Mike, I think what Ron was stating is just making sure when you talk to that home coach in your pregame, you have an idea what that halftime is, and being able to communicate that if there is a change, making sure one of your crewmates gets over to the other coach and said, "Hey, coach, we originally were at 28, now we're 24. We'll be over to get you. We'll be over to get you at 19." So that gives them 5 minutes till.
Gotcha.
Just a quick, "Hey, coach, we're going to be there to give you a heads up, just so you can't say we didn't warn you." Or even make it 18. We'll be here at 18. Okay?
Yes, sir. I appreciate that. I mean, he was pretty good about it, for the most part. And then even after the game, he just said, "I'm going to check into that and make sure it's 28 or 24." I mean, that's all he said. So, but I appreciate it, guys. Thanks, Ron, for the advice.
No problem, bud.
Somebody got to go on mute there with that noise. Hey, couple things before we get started. If you haven't heard, John Miller's in the ICU.
Yep.
They have him on a ventilator. He's not intubated. So he's probably going to be there for a little while. So keep him in your prayers. We had a little scare Friday night with the Salinas family, but everything now is okay. So that's good news. I got a message from Charlie Sr. today about his granddaughter. So that's good news. Is there anything else that we need to get out and need to address first before we move into the plays? Anybody else having some issues that we need to talk about?
Hey, Eric, there's a question
Family-wise
on
or
the
other?
chat.
Yeah.
There's a question in chat, Eric.
Okay. What's the question, Ryan?
It's talking about intermission between halves, which begin when the field is clear of all players and coaches, shall be maximum of 28 for regular season and games and 24 minutes for postseason games. Intermission between halves for postseason games may be 28 minutes if mutually agreed upon by both coaches.
Yeah, I mean, that is right. It's just a matter of making sure we get that in our pregame, what our halftime is going to be. And then they can relay that over to the other coach.
Okay, Eric, let's go a little step further. What if one coach wants 28 and the other one wants 24? So what do we do in that situation? Is it up to the home team's decision, or
should be district policy?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's district policy.
okay?
That's correct.
Okay, we answer that question.
Yes, sir.
Who's we have a couple folks. I saw David Smith with his email address. I see there's a BA. Who's BA?
Oops.
Okay. All right. So sharing going forward. Hey, these times are fun. A couple guys shared plays. A couple other folks said, "Hey, I got questions on this." So our goal is to just talk about them. Our goal is to make sure we're all doing the same things. And if there's something that we need to discuss further, then we're here to do that. So I think as folks that are here voluntarily, folks that are trying to get better, I think we just work on those. We keep that in mind. Again, we talk about communication. We talk about appearance, pre, post, and dead snap, and how we communicate with the players. So if we can keep that in mind as we talk about these plays, this is how I communicate to my other officials. This is how I communicate to coaches. Let's keep our discussions that way. And if we've got a pre or post pre or post situation as far as keys and mechanics. Let's talk about those, and let's just make sure we're all on the same page so that we can all talk the same language, because guys are still getting inserted, right? We still have holes, we still have gaps. So long as we keep talking the same language, we should have a plug and play situation. So before anything else, anybody got any questions on that? We got some new folks that hadn't been with us before. So any questions on how we roll? All right, perfect. So I'm going to start this one off with a bang. I shared all these video with you. We're going to start with play 14. We are going to run through it. I might jump around a little bit due to time, but just bear with me here, okay? So do I need to maximize these, or can we just work off what we got? Doesn't matter. You're good. All right, perfect. Thanks, Joe. So, really in this situation here, I'm going to go wide. As we look at this play, got a tight end here. It's early in the game. Head linesman's down at the bottom. Head linesman has 2. Back judge has got the tight end. Line judge has got the running back. Okay? So as this play starts to develop, fake handoff. I'm going to go back and look. Pay attention to this official here. He's signaling incomplete. Let me bring it back down to a tighter view. And who can help with this play? Who can help see this play? Line of scrimmage?
Umpire.
Outside official.
Line of scrimmage, guys. Umpire, let's see here. Umpire is going to be in the middle on that double team. And now we've got him head up, so I don't know if the umpire is going to be able to see it. I mean, you can see that Charlie is looking in this general direction. Okay? So you may have an opinion on how that is, how this play is developing. Certainly the line of scrimmage guy down on this end. The referee's up here on the top because he's got a cross-field tackle looking through the running back, looking at the quarterback for false starts. He's got the tackle here. So as this starts to play and this starts to develop, tackle goes to second level. So where's the referee going to go? Ron, would you be going for the handoff, or are you still looking at the line of scrimmage?
No, me personally, once he gets
Yeah.
to the second level, then I leave him alone because I've got everything in the backfield at that point. The quarterback.
You got
and-
stuff
and-
going on right here, right?
And I got stuff going on right there too, because the umpire has
Yeah.
obviously got these 5 interior guys,
That's correct.
And then once the quarterback makes his move, then I start moving, that direction a little bit, because we don't, at that point right there. Yeah. I just kind of observe all this in the middle, and then I observe the quarterback at that point and keep my eye on him.
So as we look at this play and how this play develops, I don't see a throwing motion forward. The ball is at the 18. Contact with the players at about the 17. Okay? So again, I don't have if somebody else sees this, feel free to tell me, but I don't necessarily see a ball being thrown forward. I don't see a motion where the quarterback is throwing the ball forward.
Let me jump in here real quick, Eric. This is Grady.
Go ahead, Blake. Grady.
Because this is me, and this is my fuck up here in this play. So let me tell you what. At the time where I'm going through here, I'm the wing on the far side there. First of all, none of my crew saw anything So no one knew either way. On a slow motion, you can kind of see his arm out. Like I said, looking at the video here, clearly a fumble. But from my viewpoint on the wing, I see an arm out like he's doing a shovel pass. And I see a ball come out. And I'm processing, not knowing fumble, pass, not really knowing. And so I decided to go with, when in doubt, pass. That's what I went with. Clearly watching the video, it was wrong. But that was my thought process when I seen the play.
Thank you. Thank you. So I can tell that you went back to third down. So obviously you called it an incomplete pass, right? We saw it on the screen. You went incomplete.
Right.
On the flip side, if the referee had come in and said, I've got no, so, okay.
The
So if
referee
you
could
blew
not
the
see
whistle,
it.
then now we have an inadvertent whistle too, right?
Well, the referee could not see it. Nobody. So when I went, even when I asked later, I was like, "Hey, man, no one really knew." The referee had, of course, the quarterback's back is to him, so he can't see it. The only other person that could see anything, because Charlie was focused on his lineman in the middle. The only other person was the other line of scrimmage, and he wasn't really sure either. So that's where we stood on that. Now, obviously, like I said, we can see it on here. It was a fumble, but at the time, I was going when in doubt. That's what I was going with.
Okay. Good. So what are the two other options that we have, right? We got a whistle blown. Had we not gone incomplete, had we just gone with whistle on the field, we have potential for an inadvertent whistle, replay the down, back to the previous spot, right? If we don't have anything and we see a fumble, the ball is fumbled forward in the field of play. So where's the next spot that we're going to snap the football?
Well, offense recovered it. If it would have been a fumble, offense would have recovered it right there. Third down, and then right with it.
It could be, yeah. So second down now.
At this,
We've got a fumble forward. And we've got a recovery by a lineman at about the 21. So third down and 2 at the 21.
21 or 26?
Sorry, thank you. 26. Good call. Thanks, Joe. 26. A lot of different scenarios there. You went with the one in doubt. No one else had any input for you.
What's the official downfield doing on the field?
So he thinks it's a fumble, and that's not the right mechanic, but he's going with fumble. He wasn't really sure. When I asked him later in the game, he had the same thing on a fumble. He's not typically in that position, but yeah, he's kind of crashing into the ball. So one thing I would have done different on this. So let's say if we had a game where I knew I had replay, then I would always wait and let it go as a fumble, let it replay, make it an incomplete pass, right? But even so, I got lucky on here. The offense recovered it. Therefore, it wasn't a turnover I messed up. Yeah, they lost some yards on it. But I should have probably waited until the play dead, then come in and say what I thought I saw. You know what I mean? That would have been the best way to do that.
So then come in. So let the play have its result, and then come in and kill it.
Yeah, of course, if Warren would have
So
recovered
what
it,
if we got a beanbag?
Yeah, well, I do think Charlie threw his beanbag, but he saw a ball out, but he didn't know how it got out.
Yeah, I see Charlie's beanbag.
But like I said, if Warren, let's say Warren would have recovered that football, and I would have came in later and said what I had too, then all shit would have broke loose as well. So I was trying to stop it at the time, thinking, like I said, when in doubt, let's stop it before anybody recovers it. That way, it's just an incomplete pass. We didn't really get any flack on either sideline because I don't think no one on the sideline from our views could really tell either. But I mean, no, it was the wrong call though.
Well, I just think that this is something that we got lucky on. This is something that didn't necessarily affect the game, I don't think. But we just, like Grady said, if he had to do it over again, he would have waited. So I think it's okay to be patient If you have to correct it, you have to correct it.
Eric, when you look at
Yeah.
the end zone view, I can see what Grady says. He saw the arm go forward because you can see that pretty clearly from the end zone view, but it doesn't really look like a toss forward. I think it's more a bodily reaction from getting hit by the tackle.
Correct. I think the ball was hit and he fumbled, and then his arm is going forward because his body is going forward. I would agree with that. Good job, Jack.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm
agree
gonna.
with you guys. It was a fumble. I just, you know. Yeah,
I'm gonna jump
It won't be
to.
my last mistake either, I'm sure.
We got plenty of them. I do them too. But you know, I just from a referee perspective, there might be some additional input, even though that he might see the back, but might be able to see some kind of arm movement, or if the quarterback had the ball in his throwing hand and was trying to pitch the football. There might be some other communication in there. So I'm going to jump to 18. And this is Southside. This was brought to us today by Craig. And the concern was motion and block below the waist. So I'll let that one play out here a little bit. I can jump over to the other view. The end zone view shows him still behind the tackle, so he's still in the tackle box. Okay, so we're just building up to it.
Isn't he a restricted player though?
He can be restricted, yes. But he goes away. He's not back towards the ball. He's not back towards his goal line. He's within his 5 yards. We're snapping at the 47. Defender turns. So when I was talking with Craig earlier about this, and Southside does this all the time, and that's one of the reasons why, they do what they do, is they cut a lot. So how do we talk to this coach? How do we talk to the head coach? What are we saying to this head coach as a wing official when we've got guys in motion and they're now not set? They're kind of doing their hands and they're moving their feet. What can we do? How can we talk to these coaches from a communication standpoint when we're trying to say, Coach, have this guy stand still, and let's try to get him more around 12 and not at 10 when we're diving, when we're trying to cut somebody within the 5 yards? How do we communicate that? What do we say?
Maybe tell the coach that the player has to sit for at least 1 second after he goes in motion. Can't be moving. And then try to tell the coach that he needs to block from the 10 to 2 area, not the 12.
Come more at the 12 because it's between 10 and 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was more like 9.
Yeah, to be honest with you, Eric, it's very common because the coaches look at film on the other team constantly. They usually tell us in pregame, this is what they do. I mean, literally 9 times out of 10. Now I'm not saying that all of them do, but the last thing I ask them, do you have any questions of us? And they'll be surely to divulge that, well, they cut a lot, number so-and-so, is in motion. I mean, they usually scout these guys. So it kind of gives you heads up of what they're doing anyway. But again, not all the time. That's a good point, Ryan.
Yeah, and this is play 18, so this is something that we can correct. We don't necessarily have to have a foul on this. This is something that we can say, Coach,
Yeah.
I need 30 seconds.
Yeah.
I need your guy in motion to stop.
Yeah.
And when your guy goes low on this, either linebacker or this safety coming up to make a tackle, he's got to get more square. If you don't want this called later on, these are the things I'm asking you to do now to help you help us.
Eric, if you don't mind, one thing I tell the coaches is if you're coaching your players to block low, you're forcing me to make a decision every time they block low. Is it legal? So if you could coach your players when they have a choice to block high or low, block high, and then that way I don't have a decision to make.
And that takes what? Takes 10 seconds?
At the most. I
It's
mean,
gonna
if
help
this
all of us.
takes one more step and just blocks that guy in the shoulder, he tips him and he's still on the ground rather than putting the defensive player in danger by going low.
Yeah, I totally
Yeah.
agree with you. Here's my comment on this. Those guys are taught that. So, and I believe what you're saying is true, that if you have that conversation, obviously that should help. But that guy's been doing it all year, and we're in how
Correct.
many weeks into the season we are. So,
13.
So the coach, unfortunately, is aware of it. He just doesn't care. Yeah, week
Bingo.
13. I mean, the coach is aware of it. He just doesn't care, at this point. So that's when you got to have that conversation. And if it happens, just nail him. I mean, that's how you're going to stop it.
I agree 100%. If they're being coached that way and the flag comes out of our pocket for a block below the waist that's legitimate foul, the coach has no leg to stand on. And hopefully the defender still has two legs to stand on.
Absolutely.
Well, he basically
Especially if
calls
you've
this
already,
one.
especially if you've had that conversation with the coach.
I'm sorry?
Especially
What
if
was
you've
that,
had
Brian?
that conversation with the coach.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
And,
is he still in the tackle area?
no, he's outside the tackle. Are you talking the running
Yeah.
back or are you talking the blocker?
The block.
Yeah, he's outside the tackle box.
Yeah, it should have been. Yeah, it should have been called. That's what I said.
It doesn't really matter if he's outside the tackle box, though, because he lined up. He wasn't originally a lineman at the snap, right?
Yes.
That's right.
And he is
That's right.
he is technically still a player in motion, which he makes him restricted,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
He's restricted, but he still can block all the ways in certain instances. The biggest thing here is
No, he can still block below the waist as long as it's 10-2 and as long as he's not coming back towards the original position.
Towards the original position of the ball.
so the main
Exactly.
question
That's
here-
why
Or the
I
goal
put
line.
that into play, because just because he's in, I wasn't saying just because he's in motion. I just wanted people to be aware that his chop step still makes him a player in motion, which restricts him on some levels.
Yeah, he just can't block
Exactly.
back, block below the waist back towards the original position of the ball.
Or the goal line.
Okay.
More further than 5 yards downfield.
Yes, so the biggest
Correct.
question on this play, guys, and everybody knows is it 10-2? That's what we're really asking. And if every play we got to try and guess 10-2, it's going to be a long night. That's what we're trying to say. Let's get the coach to get these guys at 12 and not 10.
Exactly.
The 10-2 is the area of concentration of the person he's blocking. Just because his body's turned to the right, if he's looking back to his left, that's his area of concentration. It's what he's looking at, because now he has a reasonable opportunity to defend himself and defend himself from that block.
Which he sees the play coming. Go ahead. Go
Yes,
ahead.
he sees the play coming.
The defender puts hands on the blocker. He sees him.
Right. That's exactly right.
But it's
But,
still an block.
He knows it's coming.
Yeah, it's just ugly. I think we can just clean it up. as we start to get through these and as they start to play, and hopefully they make it to the playoffs, it's going to be questionable. So we can do our job these last couple of weeks of saying, Coach, you got to get these guys still. They got to start practicing this. It's a really quick conversation. He's not going to like it, but now you put him on notice that you're, number one, seeing the block, and your opposite wing official can report back to that coach that says, Coach, he's 10-2. We're seeing it right now. He's on notice as well. We're seeing it, Coach. Here's your feedback. Because he's going to be hollering low block, low block. So as long as we can have that crew communication, keep that dialogue going, everybody's going to be okay.
Eric, when that guy's standing still but jogging in place, would that be illegal motion?
No, no one else is moving.
No, his motion has to be going towards the ball at the snap for illegal motion.
Yeah.
Correct.
Like that?
What's that?
Is that okay when he stands in place and jogs like that?
Yeah, as long as everybody was
Sure.
set for a second before he went in motion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, everybody appears to be standing still right here at this spot. I mean, it's as far back as we can go. We're going to give them the opportunity to say that they all got set. All right, I'm going to jump to play 122. It's a low block on the outside, slot receiver coming back. This is chop. And he's coming back towards that defensive end. From a key perspective, let's talk about keys. There's a slot receiver here. There's a slot receiver. This is play 122, so this should be the head linesman. That's the side judge. Field judge is in the corner. L is at the bottom of the screen. So back judge is over here on this tight end. Head linesman's here, looking right down the line of scrimmage. And the referee is coming all the way across the field, looking at the running back, the quarterback, and that left tackle. Keys change.
Yes.
So, Ron, keys have changed. Now you are where? You've now focused your attention over here. We've now got a trips on this side.
Okay, you're buffering. I'm sorry. What was that?
I said
Yeah.
we had a motion and we had a third receiver now move to the right side of the formation.
Outside the
So
tackle.
you originally had the left tackle. Now you're moving over to the right tackle.
Because
Okay.
he shifted over, to that right side.
That's correct. That's
Yeah.
correct.
Eric, while we're stopped on this spot right here, I just
Uh-huh.
wanted to point out that the deep wing shouldn't be nearly this far off the end line because they're going to have a tough time ruling on anything.
Yeah, they need to be more at an angle too.
So deep wings that are in the call or on the phone, there's a couple things on the deeps that I'm noticing here we hadn't really gotten to yet. I'm assuming this is the back judge. Back judge, you got to stay in the middle of the field. Okay? You might have this outside receiver coming right into your breadbasket. And you got a rule on that. Keep yourself in the middle of the field. You might have a crossing route coming back over. Stay in the middle of the field. Deeps, you're going to want to, some guys say the back judge has got the end line, so you take the sideline. Some guys like to be at a 45 on the pylon.
Mm-hmm.
I just think you need to be closer, like Blake and Robert had said. So just move up. You're too far back over here. If you were on the line of scrimmage, we wouldn't have any issues. But you're on the end of you're at the end line and the sideline. So scoot up.
The other point that I think, you said you can be at a 45, or you can play it straight down, looking down the sideline, which either it's just a comfort deal, but the old mechanic was at a 45, but now they're teaching it. You can either look straight down the line, and then that way you just have one pivot step to look down the end line. I personally work looking straight down the sideline, but like I said, it's a comfort thing. You work in either way.
Yeah, that's what her
Yeah,
Lucas
and
been
what-
telling us in the deep wings breakouts too, is to work straight down the line.
And what's the likelihood? What are they going to do to the back corner of the end zone? Are they going to break out and go to the left, or are they going to go to that sideline, try to hit that corner? More than likely going to try to hit that corner on a little route. So you having to sidestep anyways. So if you line up on the sideline, looking down the sideline, you're already taking yourself out of that little route that goes into the corner of the end zone. It's one less step that you have.
And then the
Okay.
last point, Eric, was for the back judges, absolutely 100% stay in the middle, because your key here is to your left, which is fine, but that's not your hard one to see. Your hard one is to see if they throw a backside fade to the key to the guy on your right side, the wide out to the near side here, because now not only do you have to change your vision to find your new key, but now you've put yourself all the way on the other side of the field. So absolutely 100% dead on, stay center.
Good so far on that. Alignment wise, mechanically we're good. So as we start to play, you can see now that this guy right here, his immediate reaction is to, oh no, sorry, wrong guy. It's this guy, big tight end, number 88. So this is back judge. This is your key. Head linesman has moved into this second here. Line judge has got the running back. So the tight end is going low with the tackle going high.
I got a question for you, deep wings or you back judges. Maybe Blake, you could answer this on this. It just made me think of it when you're saying that. So on that play in particular, if you move the back judge all the way into where center of the field where he should be, that tight end's all the way now to the other opposite side, which is his key. And since you don't have your regular 20-yard space like you normally do, can you see that tight end? I mean, really good enough to call that call?
It does get a little more difficult with that umpire kind of stacked up behind you. Like, and you're right, you don't have your normal depth. So it can be a little bit more challenging, but usually I can fix that view by just taking one or two steps to my left or right, not getting all the way outside the goalpost.
Okay.
You're staying within the goalpost.
100%, yeah. Usually you can fix that angle to where you can see what you need to see by just taking a couple of steps left or right, just depending on, what you're trying to find.
Good, Grady?
Yeah, except it wasn't my position. I just happened to, when you were talking about that, I was like, oh, that's probably a tough one for a back judge to see. Yeah.
You should be able to see it.
Is that a chop block?
Yeah.
Okay. Back judge's key.
Back judge's key.
He gets it.
Trying to, yeah, he
have
does.
something to say on this too, though. If you
Should
throw it
do.
to back judge,
Yeah, definitely.
the R should have something to say on this too, because that
Yeah.
right tackle
That's
is
his
his
key.
that's his half of that chop block.
I mean, that's right. And thanks, Kyle, for bringing that up. Yeah, for sure. Wait, did we skip the play? No. Will we like two flags on this? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Tells us the referee is looking at the tackle. Referee starts to get all twitchy when he's got looking at the other lineman. So we really appreciate when the referees are getting in with the tackles.
Shouldn't the line of scrimmage guy look at the tackle too, though?
He's got too much going on in front of him. He's got his key. He's got his 17 here. He's engaged. They're pressed. It's a line of scrimmage. He's not looking at that lineman. We don't know if it's a running play, passing play at the very beginning. He may be able to switch to it, but he's going to see it late. Oh yeah, this we don't get to see very often.
Eric,
Yeah. Go ahead. No? Okay. It's one we don't get to see very often. What I wanted to look at this too, because this is a line of scrimmage call, really. We might be able to get the umpire to help us out from an alignment standpoint, but this is pretty late in the game. It's play 139. It's really tough to see if these guys are in the backfield or if they locked in. And early in the game, we'd like to see these guys pushed up more. They're just barely breaking the center's hips, the outside guys. So we can get these guys pushed up and these guys take a step back. Then we've got 4 in the backfield. The way they're lined up right now, especially with an angle being down right down to 50, even with an angle that's pushing it maybe a little bit to the left, these guys, these helmets are on the line of scrimmage. So are they legal, not legal? Are we giving it to them, not giving it to them?
Won't we catch that the first time in that formation and let the coaches know?
Exactly. And we want them to fix that. That's exactly right. We want them to fix that.
Yeah, they're not breaking
Go
the
ahead, Rob.
snapper's waist. They're not breaking the snapper's waist. That's kind of a warning the first time, and then let them go after that to see how they line up.
The snapper has his hands on the football, so these guys are all locked in.
Absolutely.
So had this happened at 139, we've given them a couple warnings. If these guys decide to go out for a pass for whatever reason, or they go in motion, they're locked in. They can't. If we deem them to be on the line of scrimmage. So line of scrimmage guys, you got to pay attention to these formations and get these early. Because we had that same issue over the weekend, Friday night with Clemens. Was it Clemens? I think it was Clemens. They didn't kick until the third quarter. They didn't punt until the third quarter, but we had to get them pushed back. And I had to remind Phil, hey man, make sure these upbacks are back off the line of scrimmage. And he did for us. But what I wanted to show you is number 4. He is an upback. He's in front of number 20. And this is an umpire's call. You can see his right arm, maybe even his left arm, pull both of those guys down. You see his arm here? See, it's reaching out. There's his red. Start to see his jersey get pulled. He may have an over here on this side. I can't really tell yet. But they both go down to the ground. Now you can see a clear hold. A guy being pulled down to the ground. Reverse takedown. Okay? We don't see this very much from an umpire perspective. Go ahead, Murph.
Will this be during the kick or from the previous spot?
Previous spot.
Obviously, it's not a kick yet because I haven't crossed the line of scrimmage, but it depends on what happens. You got to post scrimmage kick enforcement.
Yeah.
Enforcement.
I mean, if they like it, they can decline it, right, and take the football. So there's a couple options there.
No PSK. It's a foul by Team A.
Yeah, before the kick. Thanks, Kyle. So anyways, umpires, be ready for something like this. You might not see it very often, but when you do, make it count. What time is it? What time we got? 7 o'clock. This is another deep wing. Outside the tackle box. Keys are going to switch here. This is 135. This is the line judge. Back judge will have this guy over here, maybe? No, tight end's here. Back judge is here. Line judge is here. Deep wing. Out here, the field judge. So keys are going to switch. Got a rule, make sure it's a legal catch. And then you can start to focus on the blocks. So within 10 and 2, he sees it coming. Ball snapped at the 18.
Try it at 5 yards. I mean, less than.
It's about 4 yards.
Yeah. Yeah. So deep wing, this is one of those, hey, did he catch it? One was the line of scrimmage. You should know where the line of scrimmage was. Not all of us. I mean, it's part of the pre-snap, but we all don't think about it all the time. But it's a good habit to get into where you're snapping from and where your action is. And if you need help with your line of scrimmage official, don't be afraid to ask.
Hey, Eric, it's great.
Yeah.
Hey, did you get that play I sent you this afternoon with that crossfield mechanic?
Today?
Yeah, I sent it to you about the same time you sent this video out to everybody.
I can barely hear you, Grady.
I sent it to you about the same time you sent your video out. I was just trying to get some feedback
Oh.
on it. If you
And I hadn't. If we got some time, let me try to get some more of these and then we'll come back. Okay. So good job by Deep Wing, seeing, recognizing this going forward. Kyle, is this you as the F?
Yeah, this is me.
You called a targeting non-flagrant on this?
Correct, I did.
So, Kyle, walk us through what you saw, how you saw it, and how did you arrive at a non-flagrant, if you can?
So, watching it from the backside, you got a defenseless receiver here going up for a ball. He obviously is not going to see the defender coming at him. The defender leads with his head and shoulder area and makes contact high. And you can see here from this angle, it kind of looks like that helmet to helmet contact up high. Like the helmets are what hits first. In fact, the receiver's helmet kind of, goes back at a 25-degree angle when you hit. So since I had a defenseless receiver, I had a defender lowering and with forceful contact coming to the head or neck area, making contact with what appeared to be the helmet to the head or neck area of the defenseless receiver. That's why I threw on it. Now,
and looking back on it, now what do you think looking back on it?
Well, so let me go through the process of why we went non-flagrant instead of flagrant.
Sure.
So the process for that was I was the only one that ended up having a flag down on it. So I brought in my back judge, my umpire was in on the discussion, and my line judge, since they all had an angle on it. And I wanted another person to say, yes, contact was definitely helmet to helmet or, high head or neck area. And none of them had a good look at it and could definitively say that, yeah, that's where the first contact was made. So we went non-flagrant. Since I didn't have a second person saying, yes, definitely head or neck area contact with the helmet, then we went non-flagrant for that. Now, that being said, looking back on it, I think I got it wrong. If you go from the sideline view, you can see that the defender's shoulder is what first makes contact, and it kind of makes contact in the shoulder or the chest area of that receiver. So but from my angle, I'm straight lined on that from right here at this point in time. So I can't see that shoulder make contact first.
So if Jordan had come in and said, hey, listen, that was shoulder contact to the chest, what would you have done?
We can take it off. All right.
You would have just said, I don't want it.
Yeah,
Take it off.
I don't want it. I trust my guy telling me, hey, that was shoulder to the chest. That was where the first contact was made. I would say, okay, let's take it off. I don't have targeting.
And I was actually the back
from it,
judge
huh?
here. I was actually the back
Oh,
judge in this one,
sorry,
Eric.
Blake. My
No, it's okay.
apologies, Blake.
I was just gonna say I came in and all I told him is I said I saw the head get lowered, and of course we already had a defenseless receiver. I said I just couldn't tell where he made contact. I couldn't tell that he, led with the helmet or the hit was to the head or neck area. So I said I just couldn't tell from there.
You're gonna eat right now. You're gonna wait.
And you went non-flagrant originally because you didn't have a second flag down.
That I didn't have a second flag down, and I couldn't confirm with any of the other officials that had a possible look at it that it was definitely, contact to the head or neck area.
Okay.
And I think this is exactly why Tasso did it this way, because from my deep angle, the helmets do collide. It's just not the first thing to collide. So from my deep angle, it looks textbook targeting. But without replay, you can't come back and undisqualify the kid if you throw that.
Let's go back to the targeting. Do we really? Yes, he's defenseless, no question. But is there another indicator? I mean, is he bracing to take the guy's head off, or is he bracing the defender? Is he bracing for contact? Is there any other indicators here?
Yeah, he doesn't really launch or leave his feet.
No, I don't think so.
There's really no crouch.
So, guys, just take your time. I mean, there are big hits, there are ugly hits, but just take your time and trust your guys. Had Blake come in and said no contact to the head or neck, Kyle would just said, okay, we're waving this thing. Let's go. Next down. Incomplete pass. So just have the faith, guys. Trust your indicators. 65. Which one is this? Oh, this is another one by line of scrimmage and the referee being able to figure out where they are in the grand scheme of this particular play. Ball was snapped at the 26. Ball was snapped at the 26. Quarterback's trying to get away, throws. The ball lands at the 30. Nobody in the area. And I think you can see your head linesman now start to realize, wait a minute, oh yeah, line of scrimmage. Good job being able to see that this is a intentional grounding. This play is a little bit of a train wreck. I feel sorry for Kyle. You're back on this thing. Blake, you're in this. And who's your line of scrimmage guy?
Tony.
Tony, okay. So he's this number 20 here at the bottom of the screen. That's Kyle's guy all the way. Kyle's seeing him. He does what he's supposed to do. Right there, he steps out of bounds. He wasn't forced out. He went out on his own. Comes back in. Tony actually has he has his hat. Eventually, Kyle, I see your hat come in right about there. We do have a reception. And right about there, see if we can't get it. It ends up being, what do you think it was, Kyle? When the defender now goes to make the tackle, what did you think it was?
At the time, I went fumble. I went
Okay.
catch, fumble.
Do we have a football move? 1 step, 2. I think we have a football move, right? So we can't go incomplete here.
Ball's even tucked up. Ball's even tucked in.
What was that, Robert?
So he even has the ball tucked.
Yeah. Right. But we just got to make sure he makes a football move. Guy's in the air. He's coming down, catches it. Got to complete the catch if he's rolling, but he's not rolling in this particular play. So, Kyle, when you see this, you say fumble, right? Because the ball is loose right here. Knees are not down.
Right.
Player 20's knee is down at this point, but we don't think he has control at this moment, right? So ultimately, the ball is coming out. Stevens recovers and now starts to run around the field. And this guy right here is the wild card. He's coming back against the grain. He's now on defense. What's he going to do? He did nothing, thank goodness. So
on this play.
Eric, hold on. Going back to that previous
Go
play,
ahead.
I hate to go back to that previous play. Ben Rivers asked a question about, he said, but there is a penalty for hitting a defenseless player. On that particular play, no, there isn't, because the hit happened right as soon as the ball was getting there. It was almost like a bang bang type play. You can have a personal foul on that play if the ball was well after the pass was incomplete and that guy came in and just blew him up late. Then yes, you'll have a personal foul there. But that was a bang bang play right there.
that is bang bang, and the ball has only traveled maybe a yard and a half.
Yeah.
From where he touched it.
Yeah.
You good, Ben? Okay. All right, so we're going to go back to 71 here just for a second. So, Kyle, I see you went yourself back on mute. When you talked this through, we had an illegal touching. Ball's not dead. Then we have a fumble, because there's your hat. Here comes the flag. Still officiating, and there goes your beanbag. So my little sarcastic comment was, is your game card next? I mean, what do we got next? What are we going to throw, a shoe? What are we doing?
I got 2 beanbags. Ha-ha.
Aha, I like it. Love it.
What was the flag that came in late from the L? What was that flag?
The late flag from the wing, I think, I don't know. Kyle, you were there.
too.
Was that was a me too?
Yep.
How do we feel about me toos? Do we like me toos? I mean, if they're simultaneous, sure. But this far away, it makes it look like there was a different foul there. That's
Right.
just more explaining to the coach. So what did you end up doing on the next play, Kyle?
Next play, Team B snapped the ball. So we had a foul by a live ball foul by Team A that play resulted in a fumble. Team B recovered the ball, so they declined the penalty and kept possession of the ball.
And had Team A recovered the ball, what would you have had?
We would have had the illegal touching. We just
5 yards
lost
from
it
the
down.
previous spot.
Lost it down. Previous spot.
Just
yeah.
a loss it down.
Previous
no
spot.
5 yards.
Lost it down, previous spot. That's right. That's right. Lost it down, previous spot. Okay. I know it is past 7:15, so if you'd like to leave, we're glad you came. If you want to keep going, we can. That's up to you. If you give me head nods, thumbs up, you turn the cameras on, you let me know what you want to do. I can keep going, or we can call it a night. You tell me, guys. Got a thumbs up there, got a thumbs up, got a thumbs up.
Football.
Grady,
Okay.
Grady just sent a
More.
play.
Keep going.
Keep going. I like it. Okay. Let's go back. Let's go back to a little bit of these plays. Let me just came out with a chat.
Grady's shared a play with the group.
Yeah, I'll get to it. Let me get to some of these and then I'll get back to it. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And so here's let's see here. Let's go back and talk about keys. Let's make sure we're all on the same page here from a key perspective. Initial keys, starting out, this is pretty early. So the L is at the top, F is at the top. So L's got the line of scrimmage. Excuse me, L is on the line of scrimmage. He has the second receiver. Let me make sure. Let me go back and look at this if we got another angle. He's shaded. So Blake, are you taking this shaded guy or are you going to number 2? Any other back judges in the room? Fernando.
Taking the shaded guy.
You're taking the shade. Because he's outside the tackle, you're taking the shade. Got it. Okay. All right. So going back to this previous play here, keys, line of scrimmage, line judge has got this guy here going in motion, deep wing down here at the bottom. H has got this tackle and the running back, quarterback, the referee has left tackle. Back up here. So Ron, as you start to go through this and you start to look at this play, Ron still on or did he get off?
You know what's on this play, Eric? When I first saw it, I was like, what's wrong with this play? But when you look at the end zone angle, you see how far their splits are. That's where this play can be questionable.
It's right. So if you look at the splits, you know, we're normally used to seeing 2 guys from the ball, right? That's our normal 2 guys from the ball. We got the tackle box. But the other part of that rule is 5 yards from the ball. And this tackle may be outside that 5-yard window. Okay? So that's something else we're going to talk to the coaches about. We're not going to change them, but we just got to let them know, hey, coach, your tackles are outside that 5-yard box. Not going to like it.
And we did talk to him about that.
Okay. That's good. That's good. So we still have the referee that's out here looking at the tackle. And I know Finn's in the middle, and Finn was on. I'm assuming he's still on. And what we want to see is consistency. And if Finn's got this tackle going low, and he's got the flag down, what is the referee saying? What is the other line of scrimmage guy saying? Normally, an umpire is not necessarily calling it on a tackle on the outside, right? He's generally guard, center guard.
Right, but here's the
So
thing.
what?
Here's the thing with that, Eric. When those guys pull, umpire is going to go backside first, tackle, and across. Okay. The problem we had as short wings is the fact that we couldn't tell how far that tackle was from the ball. Looking down the line, we couldn't tell if it was inside 5 or outside 5.
And the other thing, Brian, is probably play 14 and 17. The same guy whiffed on 2 other low blocks, so it drew my attention out there. I reported to Brian. Brian reported to the coach that his guy's outside and he needs to block 10 and 2 and away from the original position of the ball. And we had given them their warning, and this is the play that came up, play 19.
After their warning.
Is this how they were lined up all game, Brian?
Say that again?
Was this how they were lined up all game, or is this certain plays?
It was certain plays. Sometimes they were tight, but sometimes they were tight, and sometimes they were spread. The problem was as a short wing, you can't tell how far they are from the ball.
That's what I was going to ask you guys, because as a wing, you can't tell. It may, if they were doing it every time, the umpire could probably say, "Hey guys, they're split wide up every time."
And we talked about it after the game, and we've come up with something that we can talk in the O2Os for that.
The thing too, Brian, is like you said, in certain sets, if they were going to block, run a sweep, that guy would come in next to the guard. So in my opinion, he was inside the tackle box. But what he was doing is he was using this split formation to let that defensive end go between the split, and he would pick him off. He only did it I think 4 times. He did it 5 times. He whiffed on 2, and then later in the game, I don't remember the play number. He was tighter and picked the guy off, but was inside the tackle box, in my opinion. So I passed on that one.
But he was warned early. Coach was warned early. I mean, to the point that even at halftime, when we were going into the locker room, their locker room was like right next to ours, and just so happens the concrete out there was about 5 yards, and we gave him a visual saying that, okay, if this line here was the ball and this guy was outside this other line, which was 5 yards, he cannot cut in. He said, he was fine with it. I even mentioned it to him, in the original conversation. I said, Coach, you probably hadn't had that called all year. And he goes, no, we haven't.
So we hadn't seen them with these splits this wide. Yeah, and there's probably some other guys on this call that have
noticed it.
Really,
We noticed
this is the first time I've seen them with this wide split.
We noticed it on film.
We had them earlier. So maybe they've just widened themselves out.
It was early in the year. Early in the year they did. I think they may have did it a couple of times. I saw it on film against Kennedale, but I noticed it. So, but we didn't, like I say, we mentioned to him, when he whiffed those first couple of times. So he was aware.
So Brian, you said you came up with something on the O2O to communicate. What is that communication now going forward on the O2O?
More or less, if Finn sees that they're wide, he's just going to go to the O2O and say, and just call out 7. Call out the number 7. Let us know that he's outside 5 yards.
So if you say, if Finn says, hey, 51 and 65 are outside the 5 yards, you guys are going to know that. If he's outside the 5,
he's just going to say 7, 7, 7. He's just going to call out the number 7. That's just for me and Ken.
Okay. All right.
We don't want to make it elaborate. Just something quick.
Understood. So with your progression, Mike, and working with Larry and the line of scrimmage guys, Larry's original key is the left tackle. So as this play progresses, Larry is moving front side. And you now picking up the backside?
Correct. See, I got one-on-one with the center, and he's gonna.
Yeah.
Everybody else is pulling, but he ends up in a double team. So once he goes double team, I drop that block and go to the backside. So I go from center guard on a double team to the tackle on the outside, and that's plus I said, I kind of had him in the wheelhouse just because he had whiffed on the first two, and he was still lining out wide, and I just wanted to make sure we didn't get any kind of safety foul going back against that defensive lineman.
And Larry's watching this guy being collapsed right here.
Yeah, Larry should be out.
He should be out with the
Hey, Ron.
with the running back until
So
he
you're
gets to
saying
line.
that Larry? So okay. So I guess what Joe, Ron, Joe Kubarubius, Ron, help me out here just a little bit so that we can all come on a consensus of what we're doing.
Okay.
Well,
listen, on the
we got keys that are switching. Go ahead.
That's
Go ahead, Ron.
So I'm gonna. That's your right, and I'm gonna pick up this once I know we have a clean handoff. There's the ball right there. That's I've still looked at this guy at the line of scrimmage, but I'm gonna take my eye off him for a minute just to make sure that we've got a clean deal back here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to go back to him because there's nothing. Nobody. The quarterback's not threatened. I don't need to even look at him anymore. And I'll peek back at him in case this number, whatever the number is, 20 something, comes in and try and takes a cheap shot. But 99% of the time, he's not going to do that. He's going after the runner. And that's exactly what he did. So then my focus is all in this big area right here at that point, because the quarterback is, he's back there. Nobody's bothering him.
Yeah, that tackle 55, it's in the view of the R at the snap. And then after that, he goes back to his responsibility. It's just that instant of the snap, make sure he's not going low.
Yeah.
Umpires, he's all over it. Backside check, sees that guy go low. That was a big catch on the splits being so wide, puts him outside the tackle box. I got nothing to add there.
That was
Sorry.
a good catch. That was.
Yeah, that's a good pickup.
It's just making sure that everybody's consistent and now everybody's on the same page, right? Because now we've set the standard. And how are we going to handle that going forward? And this Coach Warren at Wimberley's is going to be all just in everybody's ear about how his tackles are now being picked on, because he always feels that 51 is being picked on. So how we just handle that going forward and how we communicate with the coach is going to be important. Robert, you going to say something?
I don't think
Joe,
he
go
had
ahead.
an game. I think he put 50 on Hondo anyway.
He did, but he still complained.
I mean, the biggest thing, guys, is when you're talking to the coaches, make sure that you're explaining the rule correctly, because they're talking about they're assuming because he's a tackle, the tackle box extends to him and not 5 yards to each side of the ball. And that's the thing. And just like I said, I told him, I said, that's probably the first time it's been called, because he's assumed that regardless of how far his tackle is out, his tackle is still good. It's basically on how you explain the rule and things like that to the coach.
That's why that rule was put in place. People like Texas Tech used to spread away out and do that.
Exactly.
So this particular one is the next one, play 33. They're wide over on the right side, but they're not so wide on the left side. So I would say that this tackle now is within 5 yards, on the cusp, on the border, but was still within that 5 yard zone. So from a key perspective, Brian's got the second man in, your deep wing has got the first man, and then Ken's got the running back in the backfield and maybe the tackle on this side. Because, well, Larry's got this tackle number 51. So
No, that's a
Brian
tight end.
is
That's a tight end on the far. There's a tight end on the far side. Two receivers in the
top
top
side.
on the top
Yeah.
side. So I got the running back in this case, being down at the bottom. There's a tight end on the top with a flanker.
Yeah, that's number
off the-
two.
off the- that's number two. So that's the back
Yeah.
judges him. Back judges.
Is the tight
No,
end.
no. Up top, the head linesman has got that one. Ken would have that guy.
Yeah, the back judge has the one closer to the 40 on our side of the second guy in.
Yes. So the guy, me at the bottom, I would have the running back.
This is a balanced formation. We got two receivers on both sides.
Right.
Has tight end.
Receivers on both sides. Back judge is going to the line judge
And-
side, which makes the line judge have the running back.
That's only if you're in twins.
Yeah. The back judge is on the tight end at the top of the screen. So line
Okay.
judge would have the running back.
Okay, you just said right. You just said no. In this one, this is the first half, so I'm at the bottom.
Correct.
I'm at the bottom as a line judge.
Correct.
You said this is a balanced formation, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So the back judge would have the second receiver on the line judge side.
Oh, he has a tight
That's
end.
correct.
He's a tight end.
That's the tight end.
No, it's not.
That's the tight end.
No, tight end's at the top.
That's the back judge's key, tight end.
Okay,
The
why
back
is
judge
it
is the tight end.
Okay, why is the tight end the back judge?
Because he's following
If that's
the
the
he follows the
because
L.
that's the well, no, okay, and that's the question I have because the fact that the line judge is okay. The line judge is always on the home field side, regardless of what position that's on the back
But
of the
this
you know, the
formation
official.
doesn't have anything to do with where the line judge is at on this formation. This formation, back judge has the tight end, the H has the second guy in, the L has the running back.
Okay, if this is the first half, who's the H?
You
The
are
guy with
bottom of the
the guy
screen.
with the change.
Well, I'm just looking at the guy at the H.
No.
Oops.
No. No. The back judge follows the guy with the L on his back.
I'm gonna have to read that again.
The H is always the H. Otherwise, you're having different keys in different halves. It messes things up.
The L is always going to be in the visitor side in the first half.
But in this formation, the back judge has a tight end. Doesn't really matter where everybody else is at.
But why does he have the Why does he have the back the tight end?
Because you're in a balanced formation. So one time he goes to the L side, so let's say you have twins on both sides and he has to choose one. That was going to the L side.
Yep.
And the L is with the chains.
No, L is L, no matter what. L is always L.
Hey, Eric.
Yeah, Robert.
Sorry to do this to you, but going back to that last play about that tackle coming back towards the ball.
Yeah.
I've been playing it, thinking about it. Now, the fact that defender that he was blocking was lined up, head up on him, that makes a difference. If he's lined up head on,
Let's finish one discussion. Let's finish the one discussion, then we can come back to go back to that previous discussion. Okay. So, Brian, when we start to talk about formations, and if it's balanced, the back judge always goes with the line judge. Okay. So L is L, regardless if he's on the first half side or the second half side. Just if the tight end was split out wide, if he was on the hash, the back judge would still be over there.
So Eric, what you're saying is that no matter if the two L's and H switch, the H is on the bottom, the L is on working the chains. No matter where that L is at, that's the key, that our primary key, and then we drift over to the other two side as the ball is being played out. Correct?
That's correct.
All right, roger that.
So what are we watching on this play?
What are we watching on this play? Okay, so it's the opposite side. Now we showed the splits on this left side. They're tighter than on the right. We've got a tackle that is kind of in no man's land because we got the H looking at this second receiver who's not pressed. So we've got to see about any quick picks, but we also got to watch this tackle because there's no one else that has this tackle because the referee is looking back towards 51. He's looking at his opposite tackle. So 65 here is the one that is kind of doesn't have any eyes on him to begin with. So this is what we have to pay attention to. And with Mike's logic and what they do with Larry is that Mike fills backside, which is fine. But I think he's still within his 5 yards. And like Robert mentioned on the previous play, this guy is heads up.
The flag is
or
the
close
flag
to
is
it.
for,
He's in
the flag is for a holding on the center against number 44. Watch the center, but he gets my attention. The guy tries to take the inside route on him between the gap of the center and the guard. And the center hooks him. That's what the flag's for.
Let's just say, for example, Eric, because like on this play, let's say you're in Brian's spot there at the H, and you see that guy go low. You're going to assume normally that he's in the tackle box because you don't know how wide he is, so you're going to let that go. So
that's right.
You know, that's where the I guess you or that last one Mike grabbed real good, and somebody has to help you because you would assume he's in the tackle box from your position.
You would. But this is one of those you have to get to him because even though you got a key that's lined in the slot, you still have that tackle too.
Well, yeah, but say it's not a foul if he's in the tackle box when he get there. You can go low towards the ball if he's in the tackle box. But
no, it's not a foul. It's not a foul.
That's what I'm saying. It's not a foul. So you assume he's in the tackle box and you would not throw. So someone would have to really maybe give you a heads up, like they talked about giving the number 7 or whatever, so everybody would know, hey, he's outside the box.
Yeah, and umpire and or back judge, maybe even the referee might be able to say, give us a quick, hey, they're outside or they're outside. If they're using 7, however you're going to communicate that.
So
how we're going
to. So let's go back to that end zone view of that play, Eric. Good call on the hold. There's no doubt. He's got his forearm across the chest, pulling him where he wants to go. Good place for the flag. Found a soft spot for it. Seems like the big discussion on this is there are gaps. So what puts the tackle outside the tackle box? Is it his gap or is it the guard's gap? And if you look at this play and the previous play that we had a long discussion on, it's the guards that are pushing the tackle outside that 5-yard limit. So it's very difficult. It's unique, and if they came up with a system, this crew came up with a system to identify whoever outside that tackle box, because of this play, that left tackle, he's out because he's got a big gap, and also the guard's got a big gap. To me, if I was looking at it, that's my threshold.
Okay, let's talk about this, and I'm not trying to beat a dead horse, but that X in the middle of the field, you see it right there by the logo? That X. Do y'all know how far that is from the hash mark? Huh?
20, it's 20 feet.
20 feet.
Yes. And and I know where you're going
Are we
with it.
dealing in feet or yards?
Well, that's be.
Because we're talking about a 5-yard zone or a 5-yard tackle box to either side of the center of the line, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are we truly convinced that tackle's outside 5? Or is he in the 5?
Well, if part of him's outside the 5 based on if you look at what Rogers Redding talks about where the tackle guy's at, if part of him's outside the 5, he's still restricted.
That's Rogers Redding. What does the NCAA rule books read?
Says any part outside the tackle box, but it's really like you're cutting hairs here where you're trying to find that 5. It's always a judgment call out 5 yards.
Okay, so here's the deal. That X is 6.5 yards from the hash mark, which is where the ball is being snapped from. I think the guy's inside the tackle box.
Well, no, if the tackle box is 5 yards, 6 yards do not make you inside the tackle box.
How far is that tackle from that X?
Okay, he's lined almost right up on it. Okay, but here's the thing:
you're looking at that's a tight end. That's a tight end right there up on that X. The tackle is 2 steps from the X.
Okay.
Forget the URL note that it's a lineman initial position to consider completely inside the tackle box. He must be positioned within 5 yards of the snapper and no more than no more than the second lineman from the snapper.
There you go.
Yeah, so what you're saying is about 4.5 yards. So I agree with what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, every play when they do that, you're gonna have to judge where's 5 yards, where's 5 yards. It's gonna be.
I mean, I love this conversation, and it's great to talk about, but we need to be careful on what hairs we're going to split.
Well, let's talk about what the point of this rule, that not coming back towards the original position of the ball. You know, all these low blocking, it's about saving the knees of guys that don't see the block coming. So we're talking about
so
linebackers.
That we threw the foul for the kid that got blocked. He was heads up on that tackle. Does that kid really think he's not going to get blocked if he cuts inside?
Right.
Not on this play, but the other one. Now, I will grant you what we need to be aware of and work on being consistent on the backside of these plays like this is they cannot clip. That's where they really get injured. So just food for thought. Think about looking for clips on the backside rather than blocks below the waist. Any thoughts?
No, I agree with you. Usually I'm looking for the tight end to do it, obviously. The tackles, it's got to be clearly outside. These guys are, you know, borderline. Once you call one on the night, you're going to have to call them all. So once you create that line, you got to stick with it.
I mean, the block. The block looks ugly to me. But if a guy lines up heads up on you, and you cut him, until we take blocking below the waist out of the game, and we're never going to get there as long as Army, Navy, and Air Force are playing football. But I would focus more on the clips than the block below the waist in this scenario, because I really don't think the kid's 5 yards outside or more than 5 yards from the snapper.
Not on this play. If we're talking about the X in the middle of the field. Robert, you wanted to come back to this play. So here we are, Robert.
The same thing that Ken said is, number one, the guy's lined up directly on him. So at the snap, you can cut if you're lined up directly over him. And it doesn't matter which way you're blocking, as long as you do it immediately at the snap.
Which he does.
Which he does. Yeah. So that was a big thing. And then just the other thing too is, I don't know, I think you're asking for all kinds of trouble if you start splitting hairs about how far out these guys are. You can't be consistent with it. It's too hard to be consistent with it.
It's consistency and it's tough. So once you, like was mentioned, once you cross that line, you got to stay with it the whole time. And, you know, again, this is backside, this is play side. This isn't necessarily an umpire's focus being on the left tackle. I understand working center to back because the referee's going to work play side. I get that. But he is still head up, and I don't know. Joe, I don't know. Are you looking at the defensive tackles and if they're lined up on the tackles?
Not necessarily. The whole key is saving the knees. So it's really that nose guard. As that nose guard goes into the gap to the right, guard pulls, we want to make sure that tackle doesn't cut that nose guard low. That's what checking the backside is. You're looking back right into that gap and seeing if there's any high-low blocks. You're making sure that's safe. And then once it's done, you progress down the line. Is it the defensive tackle? Is it a linebacker filling the hole? Whoever it might be, you want to make sure that defender is safe and there's no high-low action. That's what we're really looking for when we check. Now, in this scenario, the key is a tackle. The thought was a tackle. The gaps was in play. I mean, it's a good get if that's what they agreed upon.
So we talk about the line, right? We're talking about consistency. Is this one? Yeah, it's this one. So we talk about consistency, and let me try to get back to this one. Now, this one, these guys.
Super tight.
These guys are tight, right? So, but this particular play, guys head up. It's the opposing team. Guys head up. Maybe a little shaded in the gap. Guy over here in this spot here goes low. It's backside. So, you know, we, again, looking at it from the standpoint of keys, how we're seeing this deep wing here. L's at this running back judge is here on the slot. H has got the running back to this side. L also has this tackle. He's also got the right tackle. So I think I think we beat it up about consistency and making sure we know that line. And, you know, I think we took some nuggets out of this. No, thank you. I think we took some nuggets out of this being 6.5 yards, the X in the middle of the field, to help give you a reference. It is 7:50. If you want to call it a night, I'm cool with it. Otherwise, I can go one more. It's up to you guys.
You want to do Grady?
You're welcome to leave. Let me see.
Just a quick comment on play 33 again. When I first looked at that before the meeting, I thought we had a big grab and turn hold on 72 instead of the low block.
Okay. Grady, you sent this film over.
Yes, sir. So what I want to get guys' feedback on is like the mechanics for this play. Let's take a look at the play and who makes the call on what's going on. You kind of just tell me what you guys think. You guys have been doing the line scripture a lot longer than me.
Got a tight end. That's the back judge. This is going to be the L, second receiver, deep wing out here. H has got the running back. Deep wing's got the receiver on the outside at the top of the screen. No switches.
Is that the right tackle all the way downfield?
This big boy right here.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that big boy right there.
Yeah, that's a lineman down.
And isn't the ball
So
behind
the ball
Mitch?
ball snapped at the 20. No, where did we say the ball was snapped? Ball snapped at the 33.
Yeah, you had two guys downfield.
Ball snapped at the 33.
Let me give you a little bit on this, I guess. So I'll just finish the play.
Ball bounces what at the 34. Grady, is your concern I guess the restriction right here?
Okay, so the headlinesman calls a pass interference right there, like on 32 or so, right there, behind the line of scrimmage. So, I see lineman downfield. I'm on the side closest to us on this play. You can't see me. And I see the flags down. I'm not sure what I'm not sure what they're calling at the time. Put my 2 cents in, just let them know, hey, if you got those guys behind the line of scrimmage, the pass was behind the line of scrimmage. After they talked about it, they were going to call passing interference. I came in and said, hey, from my point of view, from across the field, that foul's about a yard or so behind the line of scrimmage. And it was determined from the umpire and the head linesman, they were 100% sure that across the line. I said, well, if that's the case, then we also have probably 2 or 3 linemen downfield then. If you guys are saying it's in front of the, if you're saying it's in front of line of scrimmage, I didn't have a flag down for it because in my opinion, it was behind the line of scrimmage. So I want to get you guys' thoughts on this play.
Ball's right there.
Well, let's start with IDP. The L, all the actions away from you. You got, relaxed eyes. That's a good call. You can drop that flag, and then you can get if they provide feedback saying there was behind or it's not, you get a confirmation it's behind, you can always wave it off. IDP. I don't know, was the pass completed? I can't tell.
It was not completed.
No.
So I am the off official, and I see lineman downfield. I don't throw a flag because I see the ball to this guy over here getting thrown is behind the line of scrimmage.
So it's incomplete pass. There's no effect on the play. You can go with the philosophy, hold the flag. So you're good on that side. Now, if the opposite wing and the umpire, I don't know how the umpire has an angle on a legal forward pass. That's very difficult, especially when it's that close. And they determine it's beyond, then you're right. Then you got to come in with the, IDP.
So what was determined here was the pass was front of the line of scrimmage because you had 2 guys say they 100% sure. Of course, at that point, I'm like, well, maybe I'm wrong because I might have the best view of it, in my opinion.
I agree.
When people tell you 100% sure, they start wondering, I guess,
Well, think about it. What is this design? What is this play design? It's screen pass, right?
Correct.
It's a design screen pass. This isn't really that much of a broken play. It's a design screen pass that the defense defends really well. That team B defends really well. And on a design screenplay, if you're thinking about DPI, then you're also going to have IDP and you're going to have offsetting penalties, right? because I mean, if you have DPI on this back who they're trying to get the ball to, if he's actually beyond the line of scrimmage, then we have to have IDP too, because we're going to have a ball thrown beyond the line of scrimmage. So in a design screenplay like this, your question is, was it beyond or behind? Unless it's a broken screenplay where there's a lot of scrambling and they're releasing downfield, you can almost guarantee he's behind the line of scrimmage, because that's the way the play is designed. So you can err on that side of caution, is that he was behind the line of scrimmage like it was designed to be.
Yeah, and typically even screenplays in general, if it's even a yard beyond line of scrimmage, we usually pretty lenient with that, right? So
right, it's got to be well beyond
yeah.
on a design screenplay.
So when I did say, hey, well, if we're going to call this as DPI, then we got to call the players downfield. And there was kind of like, well, you don't have a flag down for that. I'm like, well, yeah, because I don't think it is, Yeah, I found myself in a weird spot on that. So I ended up just going with what they said 100%. Of course, we don't have replay,
Daddy, it's Robert.
The reason why I wanted to bring up the young guns here is I wanted not to get right or wrong on this play, but to show the importance of Crossfield guy staying on the line of scrimmage and watching that. That's really the far guy's call. You can see at the best, because the headline's up there. You know he's right there. He's got a lot of action. He's probably gonna have to move to get away from not getting hit. The far guy is the best person to see where that ball is caught or where the foul is out.
Can you still have a late flag for IDP?
Absolutely.
The pass was incomplete. But the pass was incomplete.
Well, on this play, no. But I mean, if you're determining this is beyond the line of scrimmage and you're going to throw a DPI and you come together and they say, yeah, this was absolutely beyond the line of scrimmage, then yeah, you can have that late IDP down. And that way you offset these fouls, because that's what it would be. It'd be, you'd have all those guys downfield and a pass interference.
Yeah, 10-4. That's what we probably should have done. I don't know how it looked. At this point, we didn't mark it. But I think we did wrong.
And I think I get what you're saying with we have an incomplete pass, but it wasn't thrown away either.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, guys. I wanted to hear my thoughts on it.
Well, I hope you guys found it enjoyable. I didn't certainly expect it to go 2 hours. You guys goes to show you can talk just about a few plays and go 2 hours. So appreciate all your time. Again, if you want to do it next week, somebody wants to do it, feel free. If you'd like me to, fine. I don't mind rallying the troops. That is a hot shishito pepper. But just let me know. I'm fine either way. If you guys want to spend some more time next week, we can limit this to a shorter time frame. But if people still ask questions, then we're just going to keep going. So thanks again, and hope you all have a great night. Thanks a lot. Good luck this week.
Thanksgiving, everyone.
Thanks, Eric.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks, everyone.
Man. I really enjoyed this stuff, Eric. We should